Now at 10, Joplin unveils its newest mural, and MSSU hosts its annual Fall Brawl. Also, we go on the trail of stolen history.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
An inmate escapes while being treated in Neosho, Missouri hospital. This is your KOAM News at 10. I'm Jalen Banks. The Newton County Sheriff's Office warns to be on the lookout as 41-year-old inmate Michael Ray Durison escaped while being treated at Freeman Neosho. He is a 6 feet tall, 160-pound man and has black hair and hazel eyes. The Sheriff's Office states he was last seen wearing a white t-shirt and orange scrub bottoms. He possibly has no shoes. As of 5 a.m. today, authorities are searching Neosho for him. If you spot this inmate, immediately call 911. Joplin's newest mural, which celebrates Joplin's black history and artistic influence, received its official unveiling today. The mural depicts McPherson and 10 additional black artists who left their mark on Joplin during the time of segregation in America. It stretches 65 feet across the north side of Bruce's Point of View optical building at the intersection of 1st and Main Street. An organizer says the mural will be used to bring awareness.
It's to bring awareness of the citizens who are here, and to let the people know that, you know, we can come together as a community and get along.
The event also featured music, refreshments, and information about the mural. A local church hosts Carthage annual family event. The rally in the park included an annual Rally 66 benefit 5K, a service in the park, Rally 66 benefit car show, free inflatables for kids, free lunch, giveaways, as well as vendors, live music, and other food trucks. A minister says the event brings the community together. It's been a hot one, and there were a ton of events outside. Hopefully that can continue. Sam, what do we have?
Yeah, it's been a hot one across not only Joplin, where we set a record, but also in southeastern Kansas, where Chanute set a record. Many records fell by the wayside today across our area, with the hot conditions continuing. Right now, radar is all clear in our immediate area, but up to the north, in northeastern Missouri, there are some storms up there producing some severe weather, even a tornado warning just near and northeast of Quincy, Illinois. Unfortunately, that is going to stay to the north and east. Well, the severe weather is not an unfortunate thing, but the rain we need, and we're not going to get it. It looks like we're going to have to wait a little bit longer. There's lots of rain down in Puerto Rico today with Hurricane Fiona. It's expected to become a Category 2 hurricane by tomorrow evening with 105-mile-an-hour winds. That's going to barely hit the Turks and the Caicos and then become a Category 3 hurricane by the time we move into Tuesday. But the good news is it's going to be well east of the United States. Now stay tuned. I'll have your hot forecast coming straight up.
The Miners Hall Museum in Franklin, Kansas presents a special program. Presented by Tony Fornelli and Gene Weinberg, the two shared stories and information about the early years of sports. They reminisced about the Turkey Day football games held between 1923 to 1958. The Turkey Day football games were played by citizens of Arma and Franklin.
It's just kind of a culmination of our exhibit and to show what relationships we had with Arma in the town itself. And this is testimony to it. These players coming from all over to be a part of this today.
They encouraged alumni and families of Arma to come out and listen to these stories. The annual Fall Brawl took place at MSSU. The event features motocross race competitions of multiple age groups and skill levels ranging from amateur to professional. The participants had all Saturday to practice and prepare for the races today.
Man, just meeting everyone, that's the favorite thing. Like, I don't meet a stranger, love people, and I have met people in this industry that I've been friends with for a lifetime. And the motocross family, they're a family. Man, it's just a different sport. They're so neat and clean and just polite, and I've got friends in this industry. We've been friends since we started, so I think that's probably been my most favorite deal about it.
Half of the proceeds from the event will go to Neosho High School. Over the past month, there's been a lot of talk about the National Archives and about the records and papers that are supposed to be in the archives' possession. A CBS News review has found a series of other cases in which people were prosecuted for stealing and sometimes even selling America's archives artifacts. Scott McFarland takes us on the trail of stolen history.
Many of us keep old collectibles in the basement, but no one does it like David Golden.
Yeah, it goes up to 25,000.
In a climate-controlled vault in his Connecticut home, Golden has more than 100,000 historic audio recordings he's chased down or collected for decades,
Remarkably, not a single enemy aircraft.
including dispatches from World War II, and an original recording of Orson Welles' 1938 War of the Worlds, and the lone copy of an obscure 1937 broadcast of Babe Ruth hunting birds. Some so valuable he's donated them to the National Archives near Washington. So you can imagine his shock years later when he spotted that Babe Ruth recording on eBay.
I said, holy expletive. That can't be.
An Archives employee lifted the recording and tried to sell it. The Justice Department found Leslie Woffen also stole a series of other artifacts. In 2018, historian Antonin DeHaze pleaded guilty to stealing from the archives too, snatching historic pieces that included a fallen Tuskegee airman's dog tags during a visit to the archives. CBS News has learned of about a half dozen theft cases involving thousands of stolen documents in the past decade, but none as bold as Barry Landau's.
I think he just thought he could get away with it.
Landau stole presidential records from FDR's library in New York and artifacts from the Maryland Center for History and Culture in Baltimore, and pocketed the items after sewing extra pockets in his coat and trying to distract the staff with cupcakes and charm, till an eagle-eyed staffer spotted Landau's sticky fingers.
He's sitting at this table. Somebody spots him from above.
Yes.
Up there.
Yes.
Landau, DeHaze, and Woffen all pleaded guilty and served prison time. As for Dave Golden, his archives donations are returned, and the home library is still growing. The archives has tight security and cameras and internal inspectors who track down stolen items and check for those secondhand sales, because there are people who try to find a price for America's priceless treasures. Scott McFarland, CBS News, Washington.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Tyler Riggs. Tyler Riggs served in the Marines in 2006, a native of Parson, Kansas. We thank you, today's four-state hero, Tyler Riggs. And when we come back, we'll have how the world is honoring the late Queen Elizabeth II. President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden are in London paying their respects to the late Queen Elizabeth II. The Bidens are among hundreds of world leaders and dignitaries who will attend the monarch's grand state funeral tomorrow morning. And Terry Akita has the latest from London.
President Joe Biden placed his hand on his heart as he and the First Lady paid their respects to Queen Elizabeth II at Westminster Hall. Later, the first couple signed a condolence book.
To all the people of England, all the people of the United Kingdom, our hearts go out to you, and you were fortunate to have had her for 70 years. We all were. The world's better for her.
Mr. Biden is just one of 13 U.S. presidents the Queen met during her 70-year reign.
She was the same in person as her image. Decent, honorable, and all about service.
The Bidens then joined King Charles III and dozens of other kings, queens, and heads of state at a reception at Buckingham Palace.
President Biden is among 500 world leaders and dignitaries attending the Queen's funeral. Now, the largest, most complex security operation in London's history is underway to keep everyone safe.
More than 10,000 police and security personnel have been patrolling the city. Members of the armed forces and volunteer marshals will join them on duty for Monday's funeral.
We've got help from every force across the country and indeed from some forces further afield.
At least 1 million people are expected to take to the streets to watch the funeral procession. And many thousands are waiting in line overnight for the final chance to file past the Queen's coffin before the doors close early tomorrow morning. Others placed flowers outside the Queen's residences, including Windsor Castle.
We felt it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and also the last time we can pay our respects to the Queen.
It's a chance to participate in history while honoring the only monarch many have ever known. Terry Okita, CBS News, London.
The Queen's state funeral takes place tomorrow morning at Westminster Abbey. The late monarch will be laid to rest during a private ceremony at St. George's Chapel on the grounds of Windsor Castle tomorrow night. She will be interred into Prince Philip, who died last year at the age of 99. A grim milestone in Afghanistan. It's been 1 year since the Taliban banned girls from getting a secondary education. Trey Yinks is in Jerusalem now with how things in the country. Look today.
Good evening. It's been 1 year since the Taliban banned young girls in Afghanistan from attending secondary education. Today, the United Nations called the decision shameful as the world marked the anniversary. The acting head of the UN mission to Afghanistan said the situation was entirely avoidable, adding that the restrictions are tragic. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres tweeted Sunday that, quote, girls belong in school. The Taliban must let them back in. While in some provinces girls can attend some form of secondary education, this is now the exception, not the rule in Afghanistan. An estimated 1 million girls have missed out on education since the Taliban takeover last year. In August, Fox News pressed Taliban officials in Kabul on when girls could return to high school. One official blamed a lack of teachers and pens, providing no evidence to support his claims. Overall, life has changed significantly for the Afghan people. Now countries around the world must make challenging choices about providing aid to Afghanistan while not funding the Taliban.
War crime accusations against the Russian army intensify after the discovery of another mass grave, this time in the Kharkiv region, in what officials say was a Russian interrogation facility. Jeff Paul is in Kyiv, Ukraine, with more.
Investigators continue to work the scene of a mass grave in northeastern Ukraine, but they're also starting to unearth new evidence that appears to show the brutality of Russian occupation. The local mayor in one community in the Kharkiv region says they discovered a cellar that Russian soldiers were using. They characterize it not only as a prison, but a torture chamber. Those who've seen it say conditions were absolutely awful and horrid. Rooms turned into makeshift prison cells with freshly welded bars to keep civilians who were captured from running away. Some believe this is just one of the locations where the innocent were relentlessly interrogated before being killed and likely dumped elsewhere as a way to hide the evidence.
They kept our locals here in this cellar. The people were firstly processed psychologically at the train station, where they destroyed their will. Then, when the Russian soldiers beat testimonies out of them, testimonies they needed, the people were brought here to this cellar. They were kept here without food and without medical supervision.
Work continues in the newly liberated city of Izium, not only to try to restore living conditions for those who survived or are returning, but to bring dignity and justice to those who were killed. More than 440 bodies have been discovered in a mass grave, and investigators say this will not be a one-week job, just given how vast and how long many of these bodies have been buried for. Despite the serious allegations from Ukrainian officials regarding the torture and the mass graves, so far no response from the Kremlin.
And later, our very own Danny Terzer shares with us what's going on in sports.
And many records were set today as far as high temperatures. I'll be back with your forecast to let you know if we're going to set any more records, so stay tuned. Well, folks, it was another hot one out there with temperatures very, very warm for this time of year. Upper 90s, even some 100-degree readings in southeastern Kansas, but things have cooled off a little bit this evening, including Indigo Sky Casino and Resort down in Seneca, Missouri. They were pretty warm too. Here in Joplin, like I said, we set a record today, 97. The old record was 96 back in 1952. We started out at a warm 75 already, which was way above normal. Normal low is 59. It'd be nice to start seeing some 30s around here, but it looks like we're going to have to wait for quite some time before we see that. Over the last month, we've seen temperatures above normal for most of September. 2 weeks now of above normal temperatures, only 3 days below and one normal day. And of course, there's the record today of 97. Storm tracker radar is all clear and has been that way for quite some time. We have to go all the way up to the north to see any storms in our region, but that's about it. On today's allergy, 8.8 out of 12. Tomorrow, about the same. So some relief with the allergies, but not too much. Temperatures right now are still in the 80s across our area. 82 in Joplin, 85 in Parsons and Chanute and Neodesha. A little bit cooler down in Jay, where they're currently sitting at 76. And also 78 degrees over there in Cassville for one of our coolest readings. Dew points are in the mid-60s for the most part. There are some 70s starting to show up. Check out Stockton, 75 dew point right now. That's just downright muggy out there, even soupy even across our region. So it's certainly feeling a little bit more uncomfortable out there than what we've been experiencing a few days ago. Temperatures tonight are going to drop into the mid-70s by tomorrow morning with south winds. Then tomorrow afternoon, a carbon copy of today, maybe even a little bit hotter if that's possible, with temperatures in the upper 90s to right around 100 degrees, including no water with 99, 98 in the Ville, 98 in Parsons. You kind of get the idea. And then as we go through the day tomorrow into tomorrow night, into Tuesday morning, we're going to see lows once again in the mid-70s, south winds, and then Tuesday afternoon, mostly sunny skies with temperatures in the upper 90s to right around 100 degrees yet again across our area. A little bit cooler over in Monette. Then as we go into Wednesday morning, you guessed it, lows in the mid-70s with yet another hot day on tap for Wednesday. How hot? Well, 97, which would break a record as well for the next 3 days. I'm expecting record temperatures. Then finally, the first day of fall, we drop down to 82 because a cold front's going to be coming through, but it's going to be short-lived as we go back to 90 on Saturday, which would tie a record on Saturday. Then finally, some cooler weather on Sunday. And then the extended, yay, normal weather starts to return to our area, but we really need some rainfall in addition to the cooler temperatures.
That would be ideal. But again, with the summer and I guess fall now that we're having.
Yep.
No surprises that we've got record-breaking highs.
Yes. Hopefully we're going to turn the corner on the records.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Sam. Missouri Southern and Pittsburgh State were both home this weekend.
Yeah, both teams picked up pretty convincing wins on Saturday. We'll hear from the head coaches coming up. Plus, KU football is off to its best start in over a decade. That and more next. It took Missouri Southern 1 minute and 36 seconds on Saturday to drive down the field on their first possession and score. Southern went on to beat Central Oklahoma 40-21. The Lions picked up their first home win of the year and their second straight. Dawson Hurl led a dominant offensive effort, throwing for 189 yards and 3 touchdowns and rushing for 2 more. Ezekiel Lang caught 2 touchdown passes, and Nathan Glades put up over 100 yards on the ground. Here's head coach Atiba Bradley on the team's growth from week to week.
Week 1, that loss was probably the best thing for us, and I know we're still early in the season. And, those guys took that loss to heart, and Dawson especially. He didn't like his performance game 1, and so he has been dedicated to make sure it never happens again. And you can see it in his preparation throughout the week, and then it's showing up on the field on Saturdays.
There were fireworks from the very start of the Pitt State Northeastern State game on Saturday. The Gorillas scored 2 quick touchdowns, Antoine Nunn Jr. on a pick 6, and then Kaiser Newell returned a blocked punt for a touchdown. Offensively, Caleb Lewis ran for a career-high 153 yards and a score. Pitt State led 42-14 at halftime and went on to secure the win 49-14.
I was pleased with how we came out of the locker room and started that football game off playing good defense, good special teams, couple of big plays to jump up 14-0, and made a big point of that this week that we needed a fast start in that football game, coming off of a big road win the week before, and wanted to make sure that we set the tone early here, and we're going to play up to the standard regardless of what the team's record was.
The Kansas Jayhawks are on a roll to start the season. They're 3-0 for the first time since 2009. Quarterback Jalen Daniels led KU to a 48-30 road victory over Houston on Saturday. Kansas found themselves in a 14-point hole early on, but then the offense got going. Daniels threw for 158 yards and 3 touchdowns and rushed for 123 yards and 2 more scores.
I thought Jalen was excellent today. He made some big plays on scrambling, keeping drives alive, saw some things, didn't hesitate. Again, 3 touchdown passes. It's not going to, it's not eye-popping 158 yards or something when you look at, but the big picture of what he did for this team is really remarkable.
The St. Louis Cardinals swept a doubleheader against the Cincinnati Reds on Saturday, and now they lead the series 3-1. The Cards and Reds play their 5th straight game today. It's the series finale and also their final meeting of the regular season. Cincinnati posts a shutout win this afternoon, 3-0. St. Louis heads west this week, for a series with San Diego and Los Angeles. The Royals tied up their series with the Red Sox last night, earning a 9-0 shutout win. Series finale this afternoon, and this time it's all Boston. The Red Sox win 13-3. The Royals start the week with a day off. They'll return to play on Tuesday, beginning a home series with the Minnesota Twins. That's a look at sports. We'll be right back.
Farmers are showing off extreme gardening skills in Colchester. The Vermont Giant Pumpkin Growers Association held their annual Way Off Saturday at Sam Maz's farm stand. This club holds several events and meetings throughout the year, such as seed swaps and pumpkin patch tours. More experienced growers are always looking to pass on their knowledge to new members. This year saw a few new state records and some very impressive gourds from new growers. The champion was 2,358 pounds, 59.5 pounds.
That's a lot. That's a lot of pumpkin pie.
Yeah, who knows?
I don't think we could grow pumpkins that big in this kind of drought that we've been having. We are expecting record temperatures through Wednesday, a little bit cooler as we move towards next weekend. Finally, some normal weather is on the horizon.
Looking forward to that. Danny, what do we have?
Cards and Royals both fall today, but they'll have a day off to start the week before back in action on Tuesday.
All right, well, sounds good. That's our time for now. Remember, we're always on at KOAMNewsNow.com and with our KOAM News app. Thanks for making us part of your night.
Salon services.